Hi, welcome back to the Benchmarkers Rugby Show. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Kumbi. I'm a data scientist, but as always, in the context of these videos, I am I'm the rugby expert. I'm the rugby context guy, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Nyasha. I too am a data scientist. I'm in a good mood. And yeah.
Oh, we haven't seen you since
Right.
since the win, have we?
Yeah. I've been up in the mountains.
Yeah,
Just
right.
I've been on Mount Olympus.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I am the AI and analyst stats guy, right? I
right.
bring you the models, tell you what the numbers are saying, right? Hopefully it's unbiased, and yeah, together we think we make the perfect pairing. So
100%. Yeah. So,
Kumbi,
I mean, obviously, the World
yeah.
Cup has finished. We had the World Cup final last week, Saturday, but the talking points haven't finished, right? So, since then, we've now had the the Rugby World Rugby Awards that happened the night after the Rugby World Cup final. And from that, if you've been on social media, if you've been, if you've seen any of the conversations that have been happening, one of the biggest talking points from that was just from the Springboks fans, the fact that they didn't really receive a lot of the awards despite winning, right? So from Coach of the Year, Breakthrough Player of the Year, World Rugby Player of the Year, and even in the 15 of the year, they only had one player, which was Itzebeth. So obviously there've been talking points from that. So what we've decided to do is to give you our teams of the tournament. Obviously, on Yasha's side, he brings the data, so we're just going to give you a team of the tournament based on what the data say, and then I'm going to come in
Yeah.
and then I'm going to give the team of the tournament based on what I see. Right. So obviously, people are going to disagree with both.
Yeah.
Which is part of the fun. But yeah, so that's basically what we're going to do. So Nyasha, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, of course. But so just getting into it, our just to give you some background,
Right.
right? This is a model that looks at all the stats, right? So it's looking at over 100 KPIs and for every single minute that was played throughout the World Cup, and then it essentially tries to identify the players with the most impact to a winning result, right?
Okay.
So not just scoring,
Right.
right? Right. Not just scoring actions, but actions that do lead to a team winning. Whether they're defensive actions, some are offensive actions, some
Right.
are a little bit neutral, right? But any action that does contribute to a team winning, it identifies the actions on
Yeah.
its own.
Right.
And then brings out these players. So yes, that is the model.
Right.
And yeah, so now just getting into it. Oh, by the way, and it gives them a score from like 0 to 100.
Okay.
But because this is the team of the tournament, most of the scores are pretty much in the high 90s. If
Right.
you
Right.
do play FIFA, just think of this as like your team of the year, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's where where we're at. Where everyone's card is like a 99, 98.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So starting off with the front three, right? At prop from Tonga, right? We have Ben Tamifuna.
Okay.
And from Argentina, we have Thomas Gajo. And from France, we have Pito Malvaka.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Each with, Malvaka with a score of 99, and the two props with the score of 96.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I've got no qualms with that personally. I mean, we've seen what the props can do. I personally don't have them in my team. So my obviously, like we said, we're gonna give each of us is gonna give their team. I don't have any explanations on how I came up with mine. I just someone impressed me. I put them on my team. Right. So my number one is Oxenchair because obviously I think if he hadn't given the performance that he did in the quarters and the semis, the Springboks wouldn't have gotten to the finals to win it. So that's why he's my, So just disclaimer: it's going to be riddled with emotions. It's not going to be very, it's opinion based, right? And
Yeah.
then on the other side, I've got Angus Bell from Australia. So on one side, I've got a scrummaging guy, and then on the other side, sorry, I've got a more running prop. I like his running lines. I think he's got a good running game. And then we've got someone who's common between the two teams, which is Peter Movaka. I think since Marchand went out in the first game, the way he came onto the scene and just like his running game is just amazing, right? So I think so that is my number two. So yeah, that's our front rows. So that's two that are different,
Right. Okay. Getting into the locks.
right?
Right. Obviously from South Africa, Eben
Obviously,
Etzebeth.
obviously,
Right. With a score of 98,
yeah.
only player in the team of the year. And Take Byrne from Ireland.
Okay.
Right now he has a score of 99.
Nice.
And yeah, this is my second row pairing.
Right. I mean, I also have Itzebeth in there. I think if you also look at Itzebeth, there's some guys with who might have better stats than Itzebeth, like guys like Itoje, But I think just looking at even like your approach as well, it also I think the fact that Itzebeth would have played in games against tougher opposition, the fact that South Africa played against basically the whole top six in the World Cup, right? So it's the fact that not only do you have good stats, you've got good stats against good teams, and you also have good stats against good teams in more critical games like the World Cup final. So yeah, I think I definitely agree with Itzebeth being there, and then I've got Scott Barrett in there. I think the All Blacks had the best line out in the tournament. Scott Barrett is also, I think in the open game, I mean, he could improve with his penalties and whatnot. That's, going into the future. But I think he's doing really well and just cementing that lock position. And I think it's going to be a good transition from, from the big guys, the Whitelock and Retallick, going to Scotty Barrett. So yeah, those are my locks. So we can move on to the loose forwards now.
Right. So just looking at the loose trio, we have from New Zealand, no shocker, number 8, Ardie Savea.
Ardie Savea.
Right. And just so you know, all of these guys have a score of 99. So Ardie Savea, 99. From England, Ben Earl.
Okay.
And Charles Olivon.
Right,
Yes.
Olivon.
Sorry, again, yes.
You're always butchering the French names.
I feel so bad. I shouldn't have stopped. Duolingo.
Right, yeah.
But I did. And I stopped on a 40-day streak. So maybe it's not even Charles, it's Charles.
Right, yeah,
Charles
maybe. Yeah,
Olivon.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, channel in a Formula One fan.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so on my side, obviously, I have to have Savea in there. I know, once again, we're going to get on the wrong side of French fans, but I think Savea right now is the best player in the world. So, yeah, Savea is my number 8. On number 6, right, so I debated putting Kolisi in there, but I've gone with Pieter-Steph du Toit. Because not only, I think with Pieter-Steph, obviously, when the bomb squad comes in, right, he's the one guy who's probably going to play all 80 minutes. It's the fact that I think even in those 80 minutes when half the team has been subbed off, he still has that level of intensity, those big hits. So Pieter-Steph is my number 6. And then on the other side, I've got Levani Botier from Fiji. I think from him, there were critical moments that I saw that I really loved. I think from the breakdown work that he did with Fiji, really impressive. And then also just one of my favorite plays in the World Cup where he offloaded the ball against Georgia. And then I think it basically got them to the quarterfinal, because that meant that in the next game against Portugal, they could afford to lose as long as they got that 1 point. So that's my loose trio. All right, so now we can move on to the fancy guys, to the backline players.
All right, so just starting off with the scrum half. Right. And obviously, this comes as no surprise. Antoine Dupont.
No, I'm
the
surprised.
score. You're really trying to get on the bad side with the French fans. Remember our first episode? You're saying the best player in the world is Antoine Dupont.
Yeah,
now you've completely forgotten him.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we have Antoine Dupont, the score of 97, and Richie Mo'unga from New Zealand, obviously, with a score of 98.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so I think I've gone with 2 more. So this is where that emotional bias then comes in. So my number 9 is Aaron Smith. Maybe this one isn't as emotional. For me, I think Aaron Smith, the way that he drove the All Blacks in that quarterfinal, especially, even if you look at the good moments for the All Blacks, like against France and all that, just that pass, the way that it gives New Zealand, the front foot. For me, I think that's just amazing. And in that quarterfinal, he played 80 minutes. He was much more effective than some people. But it's all jokes, French fans. And then on my number 10, so now this is completely emotional. I've gone with Andre Pollard. Obviously, he only played 4 games, but I think in those 4 games, the fact that he didn't miss a single kick, the fact that kicking is what then ended up winning the Springboks that World Cup. Amongst other things, but yeah, the fact that it was so influential. Yeah, I don't think that they win the World Cup without Pollard. So yeah, that is my selection. I mean, I'm sure you're seeing Andre Pollard on my team, yes, and not on yours.
Right, and this model is betraying me. Although,
Yeah.
actually, if this model had only included, I think semis onwards, actually even quarters onwards,
Okay.
I think,
Right, yeah, yeah.
I think he would have been there, right? But anyway, it's it's the betrayal.
Yeah, right.
It's the betrayal that hurts, right? Yeah. So moving on to our midfield, right?
Right.
And this is both of 99, obviously an Irish pairing, amazing,
All right,
amazing pair, right? We have Bundiaki and Gary Ringrose, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who the model decided to go for.
Right. I mean, and no surprise, those two, the fact that I think they complement each other really well. They play together really well. And I think the stats, they were scoring the tries. So it makes sense why the data will be like, hey, listen, these guys are your two best centers. So I've actually kept Bandiaki. But at number 13, so I'm trying to get back on the Springboks good side here. But I've actually gone with Jesse Creel. And the reason why I'm going with Jesse Creel is because I think coming into the tournament, even before the tournament, the fact when it was clear that Lucanio Arm wasn't, I mean, of course he did end up in the squad, but when he replaced Lucanio Arm, the fact that you're coming in and you're replacing the best player in your position at the time, it's really impressive for him to just come in and just be solid offense, defense. He's done a really great job, and you have to give him the credit. I really didn't give him a chance. I was one of the people who didn't give him a chance. So yeah, I'll take accountability of that opinion, and he's definitely, I think, yeah, proven everyone wrong, including me. Right, and then we finish off with our back three.
Starting off I just start off with the wingers, right?
Yeah, okay.
From France, right? I think feels like I'm trying to get on the good side of the French fans. Yeah, no, I think they only three French players. Yeah, four.
Right.
We have Damien Pinot.
Okay.
And then we have from Scotland Darcy Graham, and at fullback from Ireland Hugo Keane. Right. Again, all with scores of 99s.
Right, nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, I've also gone with Hugo Keenan and Damien Penaud because I think Hugo Keenan, solid under the high ball, good attacking wise. In my opinion, I think he's the best fullback in the world, and he's still very young. I'm not very sure how young, but I think he's still quite young. And then on the other side, Penaud, you never know what's going to come from Penaud. He might even just run into his own try line and then come back. You never know what's going to come. He's an excitement machine. But I've gone, right, so instead of going with Darcy Graham, which I think Darcy Graham also had a couple of really big games, right, I've gone with Will Jordan. Right, I think, and it's just because of the fact that he equaled that the 8 tries in one World Cup record that's still held by the 3 greats, right? John Olomu, Brian Habana, Julian Savia. If you're doing things that those guys have done in the past, you deserve recognition. So that's my number 14. Right. So I think, I mean, just looking at we've got about six players who are common. You can kind of do the maths on what that is. What is that? 40%. 40%. That's common between the two, which is it's impressive.
That's high.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
high.
I mean, based on the conversations that happen on like social media, it seems like the rugby people are like, okay, this is what happens on the field on one side, and then the data guys on the other side. But I guess that's where we kind of bridge the gap. I think it's always good to have a balance between what we see on the field and also the data. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so if I were to give just a little bit of a story behind the data, right?
Right.
This is just something because obviously I'm sure a lot of the Springbok fans, even the non-Springbok fans, will be wondering where all the Springboks are on both
Yeah.
lists, right? And on both lists and what, right? So while the model it does heavily favor more like high scoring teams,
okay,
right? I mean, obviously, the Springboks scored high in the fact that they won every
Right.
every game bar one, but scoring actions do count quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you find that with the Springboks they don't really have standout players per se. They're a standout team,
Right.
And so this is one of our simpler models. We have more advanced models which we have shown before, but we'll release as we go forward, as we cover like the URC and stuff that categorize play styles, Right. And with these models that categorize play styles, they really focus more on the units instead of the individuals. And in models like that, when they're making their selections, teams like the Springboks, especially this particular version of the Springboks, would show up more. Because, I mean, yeah, obviously, in my opinion, right, the Springboks is the best team, right? And I sort of make emphasis on team, right? It's the best
right.
unit.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly, right. Not many teams where, a player's missing, the second player comes in, you're not necessarily banking on their individual talent, you're banking on them fitting into the system, right? So whether it's Marks getting injured, right? Whether it's us getting in without, like you said, without Lucanio Arm and Jesse Creel putting in the performance of a lifetime, right? So, right, we slept well, right? And when bringing in Pollard, right, knowing very well that our reserve hookers gone on in years, right? But exactly, right, and also that moment where like Manili Bok was subbed in pretty early. No complaints from him, right? It's all for the team. When is it Willemse who called that mark? Scrum mark.
Yeah, right.
That's trusting. That is trusting your coach.
Yeah.
Right. Because a lot of other people wouldn't, but that's trusting your coach exactly, right? And that's just trusting your forwards, trusting the coach, and trusting the decision. So as a team, these guys are amazing, and also obviously the hardest ever path to a World Cup, right? Which is something that that I feel like the model should account for, right? Because beating Ireland, right, world number one, the best Irish team ever, beating the best French team ever.
You played Ireland, you didn't beat them. You beat everyone else.
Sorry, yes, facing Ireland, right? And the toll that takes.
Yeah, right.
While they were wearing green, not us. Which is actually my biggest issue with that whole thing. But anyway, facing the best Irish team ever, definitely facing the best French team ever. Not the best New Zealand team ever. There's a case to be made for the 2015. 2015 one, but still a very good one. And facing England's best performance since the last World Cup, right? I don't know why they decided to all turn into 99 rated players, against us, right? But just going through such adversity compared to the previous one where we faced Japan, Wales, and England, which I would very much prefer that right now. And still going on to win. So I think that's just amazing and just shows the testament of the team and why I think they do deserve more recognition, especially as a unit across all lists. But that's just me.
Jan Shatori will give his model some justification since it betrayed him. But
these are my thoughts. Right? But anyway, the reason we make the model so that they're not biased.
Absolutely.
Right? It doesn't matter what I think. Honestly, I do just trust the model.
100%.
And then made a few tweaks here and there, but nothing too drastic. Otherwise, this genuinely would be a full Springbok squad.
But I mean, then I guess that's where we then come in as well with this channel. That's why we think it's such a great, that's why it was an idea for us to say, okay, there's the data that's saying one thing, and then we also have eyes on the ground. We see what happens on the field, so at least we can then give context that, hey, listen, they're not a lot of Springboks in this team, but it's only because of A, B, and C. So I think that's where with data. Obviously, we like to be in the analytics side of things. The context, there always has to be a balance between the data and the context. So and that's where we come in. So I mean, so basically that is that. So this is our 15, or my 15. The data is 15, or Nyasha's 15. If you want to, jump onto the comments, give us what your 15 of the tournament is, or your 23 of the tournament even. Please do go ahead and do that. We love the engagement. But for today's video, that is that.
Otherwise, guys, thank you for the support. It's been an amazing World Cup. This is a brand new channel. We didn't expect it to be growing so fast, especially on the views.
Right.
So thankful to everyone. Please do like, subscribe. Help us spread the good word of data analytics
100%.
and sports context, and just help us grow the channel. Otherwise, thank you, guys.
Definitely. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Athstat experience.